This is the St. Anthony of Padua channel. Today I'm thinking about doing a new set of videos showing the errors of justification by faith alone by pointing out certain particular passages that directly refute it. I'm not going to do, at least not right now, maybe at the end, the most obvious one, which is from James, where he directly says that we're justified by works and not by faith alone. Maybe I'll address that one later. But I want to look at some other passages throughout the scriptures which certainly suggest and basically outright teach that faith alone is not what justifies. That we're justified by faith and works. So the first particular passage I want to look at is by St. Paul in his letter to the Corinthians. First Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 2. And he says in rebuking the Corinthians, addressing their issues they've been having, he says, "If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I have become a sounding brass and a tingling cymbal. And if I should have all prophecy and should know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I should have all faith so that I should remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing." Okay, the key phrase I want to point out in St. Paul's passage here is he says, if I should have all faith. And then he explains it even more, so that I could remove mountains. For those familiar with the New Testament, Jesus Christ says, if you could have faith as to be able to remove mountains and say to this mountain, go here to there, it'll be done for you. So he's talking about the most perfect faith. If you can have all faith, as much, the most perfect faith a person can have. Basically, if he could have only that faith, there's no other way that St. Paul could say that would demonstrate faith alone here. If I can have all faith so I can remove mountains, but I don't have with it charity, he's nothing. So he can have faith alone, and the most perfect of faith, the greatest of faith. But if it doesn't accompany the works of charity, then it means nothing. And that's exactly what James says. Okay, faith without works is dead. And we're justified by works and not faith only. And Paul confirms that here in this particular passage, that you can have all faith. You can have all the faith you want. But if you don't have the charity with it, then it has no meaning. But that would not be the case. That could not be the case if we were justified by faith only. Okay? Because if we're justified by faith only, then we would not need charity. Charity would be something different. Charity and faith are different things. Faith is the belief that everything that God has revealed is true. You believe what God has said, and you believe it based on the fact that God has revealed it. That's what faith is. Believing all which God has said to be true, and you accept it based on the authority of God himself. That's what it means to have faith. charity is something separate and different than faith. One doesn't flow from the other. One isn't the other. They are two something totally separate. You cannot be saved by charity alone, and you cannot be saved by faith alone. But you have to have both. I think this is a very clear passage. I don't know. I mean, there's going to be many other clear passages in Scripture. The one thing I just want to point out is just the obvious reading of these things. The Catholic Church, I believe, can just take something so obvious, and they don't have to try to explain things away like they do, like the Protestants have to. When regarding some of their doctrines of that they can't lose their salvation or justified by faith only. The Catholic simply can just read these texts, I believe, and just say, what are you talking about? Paul said you can have all the faith you want, so much faith that you can even move mountains, but if you don't have the works with it, it means nothing. In another passage, St. Paul says, what matters is keeping the commandments. Yeah. So, all right, it's like this. I think I beat this dead horse here. I mean, this is such an obvious text. You should have all faith, only faith. You can have only faith to remove mountains. You have not charity, it's nothing. What do you say? If I should distribute all my goods to feed the poor, if I should deliver my body to be burned, but I have not charity, it profits me nothing. Okay? You can have all this faith, but you don't love God. Okay? If you don't do the deeds out of love for God, it's nothing. You can have faith. Faith doesn't mean love God. As I told you, what faith is believing what God has said to be true because He has revealed it to be true. And you accept it based on that authority. That's what it means to have faith. But that alone won't save you. You have to have the charity. You have to have the works done in love if you want to enter into life. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 2 refutes faith alone. If there's any other passages or texts that you think also refute faith alone, or you think teach faith alone, leave them in the comment section below. Ave Maria.